everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at a spaceship combat event.
Okay.
That's been causing a real stir in the community.
Interesting.
It's got these really complex phases and tricky mechanics.
Right.
And people are really debating which ships are best to use.
Oh, wow.
You know, we've got reports, strategy guides, forum discussions, the whole shebang, and we're going to try to break it all down.
I love it.
What I think is so cool about this event is how it really makes you rethink the way you usually play.
Definitely.
You can't just rely on brute force and the biggest guns.
Yeah, you've got to think strategic.
You've got to really understand how each ship type can best be used.
And how they work together.
Yeah, you got the super fast quads that can dish out a ton of damage.
Yeah, those are fun.
But they're also pretty fragile. And then on the other hand, you've got the massive motherships,
Right.
which are built like tanks and can really soak up the damage.
It's interesting because what we're seeing from reports is that the roles of these ships actually change
Oh, really?
throughout the event, yeah.
Huh.
Which is super unusual.
That is unusual. So, okay, let's jump into this thing. Phase 1 starts off with what seems like a pretty simple objective. You've got to take out this cloaked enemy device.
Okay, sounds easy enough.
Right. But there's a twist. This device, it has 1,000 HP.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot. And when you destroy it, there's this explosion. That sends out 3.5 paid shrapnel
Okay.
outwards. Now, for those who don't know, paid is the in-game currency.
Right.
And it can also be a measure of damage in certain cases.
Interesting.
So getting hit by that shrapnel is gonna hurt.
It's going to hurt bad.
Yeah, and it makes you think,
Yeah.
do you want to risk going in with a quad and try to take it out quickly
Right.
by yourself? Or do you need to coordinate with a group
And take a slower approach
maybe take a slower approach?
to minimize the damage.
Yeah, to minimize the damage. So it's like this little puzzle right from the start. But hold on tight, because phase 2
Yeah.
really kicks things up a notch.
Oh, so.
Suddenly you're facing a swarm of these aggressive dropships. There's 24 of them,
Wow.
and they're guarding 4 satellites. And these dropships are not messing around. They have an aggro range of 0.100 UA.
Okay, an aggro range meaning.
Which means they'll start attacking you from pretty far away.
Gotcha.
Basically, the larger the aggro range, the less room you have to maneuver.
Right.
And this is where we start to see a real shift in ship roles.
How so?
Our sources are saying that a quad, even a really skilled pilot, can maybe take down 1.5 or 2 of these dropships
Okay.
before they need repairs. And with that aggro range, solo quads are in big trouble.
Yeah, but you get torn apart.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster. But doesn't this seem like the perfect situation
Yeah.
for a mothership to shine?
This is where the mothership comes in, right?
Exactly.
Their tanking ability is incredible.
The reports are saying
Yeah.
they can just withstand so much damage.
And they can dish out enough damage to handle those dropships,
Yeah.
even solo.
I mean, they can repair themselves,
Yeah.
on the fly.
It's amazing.
And they act as a revival point for those quads.
Right.
So it's a complete flip
Yes.
from what we usually see. The quad, which is usually the main damage dealer,
Right.
is now relying on the mothership just to survive.
Wow.
If you want to get through phase 2, you have to work together.
Teamwork is key.
It really is.
Phase 2 really highlights that. You know each ship, it has its limitations.
Yeah,
And you can't just go in thinking you're going to solo this thing,
especially as a quad.
especially as a quad. Yeah.
All right, so we've seen how teamwork saves the day in phase 2. Let's see what happens in phase 3.
Okay.
At first, it seems to calm down a bit.
Oh, good.
Fewer dropships, they're not as aggressive, so you might think, okay, this is a good time for the quads to shine.
Right.
But of course, there's a catch.
Always a catch.
There's always a catch. This time, the challenge comes from these new enemies called elites. Now, these guys are slow in one-on-one combat, but they have these really powerful area of effect attacks.
AoE?
Yeah, AoE. We're talking 1,000 damage blasts.
Oh my gosh.
And our source is giving us a crucial detail here.
What's that?
The range of that AoE is 0.300 UA, so a quad, which is fast and maneuverable, might be able to dodge it,
Right.
but a mothership is gonna have a much harder time
That is harder.
avoiding that blast radius. So suddenly, the mothership, which was so dominant in phase 2, is now vulnerable.
Wow, so the tables have turned again.
Yeah, it's a real flip-flop. The sources are saying that a solo mothership is in serious danger
I know.
against these elites, but a gunner can make all the difference.
Ah, so you need a team.
Yeah, having someone there who can take out those elites before they can use their big attack is essential.
That's really interesting.
So once again, teamwork is crucial. Even the mighty Mothership needs help.
So teamwork in every phase.
Yeah, it seems like this event is really throwing curveballs at you. You constantly have to be adapting, rethinking your approach.
That sounds like a real challenge.
It is, but what does this all mean? For the final encounter, what happens when we face the boss?
Oh, that's a great question.
How do these ship rolls play out in the final showdown?
Well, based on what we've seen so far, it's going to be a wild ride.
I bet.
The effectiveness of quads and motherships changes so much from phase to phase, depending on the enemy types. And the mechanics. I'm really curious to see how this all plays out in the final encounter.
Me too. And you know what? That's exactly where we're headed next.
Awesome.
This boss fight takes everything we've talked about and cranks it up to 11.
I can't wait.
Get ready, because this is where things get really intense. We're back, ready to tackle this boss fight. From what I've read, this is like the culmination of everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Teamwork, adaptability, really knowing your ship's strengths and weaknesses.
It all comes together here.
Yeah, this is where it all comes to a head.
The boss itself is static,
Oh, really?
meaning it doesn't move around.
Oh,
But don't let that fool you.
okay.
It's still a tough opponent.
So what kind of attacks are we looking at here?
Well, it has a similar attack pattern to those elites we talked about in phase 3.
Okay.
It's got a slow but powerful direct attack.
Yeah.
And then it also has those massive AoE blasts.
Oh, yeah. Those AoE attacks can really ruin your day
1,000 damage.
if you're not careful. And I'm guessing the boss has a few more tricks up its sleeve.
Bet.
What else can it do?
It spawns dropships.
Oh, like the ones from phase 2?
Kind of like those.
Mhm.
But thankfully, they're not as aggressive.
Okay, so more of a nuisance than a real threat.
Exactly, more of a distraction.
Okay, so you've got to be mindful of them. But they're not the main event,
Right.
which brings us to the real game changer,
Yeah.
the shield mechanic.
Oh, this is where things get really interesting.
This is what I've been hearing about. Tell me more about this shield.
Well, it activates at certain HP thresholds.
Okay.
And get this, it blocks all damage from motherships.
Wait, so the mothership, the tank,
Huh?
the lifeline of the team, can't damage the boss at all
Nope.
when the shield is up?
Not a single point of damage gets through.
That's crazy.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The shield only deactivates when you destroy these repair drones.
So premier drones
Yeah.
that the boss summons.
Yeah.
And guess who's best equipped to handle those?
I bet you can guess.
Is it the mothership?
You got it.
So the mothership isn't completely out of the fight. They just can't directly attack the boss.
When that shield is up, exactly.
But they're crucial for taking out those drones, which then allows the quads, who are unaffected by the shield,
Right.
to deal damage.
You actually hurt the boss.
It's like this intricate dance.
It is.
The quads are the damage dealers, but they need the mothership to create an opening for them.
It's all about coordination.
It really is.
This boss fight forces you to think outside the box.
Yeah, you can't just rely on your usual tactics.
You have to really understand how each ship can contribute.
And that brings us to a point that our sources make about ship effectiveness
What do they say?
in this whole event. Who comes out on top?
It's interesting. There isn't really a clear winner.
Oh, so it depends.
It depends on the phase and how well you adapt.
Okay.
They argue that quads, while they're essential for that sustained boss damage, they're extremely vulnerable in those earlier phases.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're like glass cannons.
Yeah.
Super powerful, but if they get caught out without support,
They're done.
they're done.
And then you've got the motherships. They shine in those early phases.
Yeah, controlling the battlefield, keeping the quads alive.
Right, acting as that lifeline.
But against the boss, their role shifts to support.
Yeah, they're more about crowd control,
Yeah.
enabling those quads.
So it's not about which ship is better, it's about how they work together to
Exactly.
overcome the challenges of each phase.
It's about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each ship.
This event really emphasizes cooperation,
It does.
adaptability.
It seems like the developers really wanted to push players out of their comfort zone
Yeah.
and encourage them to explore new strategies.
Instead of just relying on the same old tactics.
Yeah, you're forced to think critically.
About how each ship can contribute to the team.
It's fascinating.
This reminds me of something our sources mentioned about emergent gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
I think this event is like a perfect example of that.
It is.
Emergent gameplay is all about how players can create these unexpected strategies and outcomes based on the systems and mechanics of the game.
Right. It's not about following a set path.
Yeah, it's about discovering new ways to play.
Exactly.
And this event does that beautifully. It's not just about brute forcing your way through.
I have to observe, adapt, work together.
And communicate.
Yes, communication is key.
I bet the community is having a blast figuring out all the best strategies
Absolutely.
for this event.
The forums are buzzing with discussions about ship combinations,
Yeah.
tactics for each phase, and of course, debates about which ship is the best.
Right.
But the real beauty of this event
Mhm.
is that there isn't a single right answer.
I like that.
It all comes down to how well you understand the mechanics and how effectively you work together as a team.
You know, thinking about this whole event and how it emphasizes teamwork and adaptability, it makes you realize there are some pretty interesting parallels
Oh, yeah.
to real life situations.
Totally.
Like in any complex endeavor, whether it's a business project or a scientific research initiative, or even just navigating everyday life, recognizing the strengths and limitations of different individuals and fostering a collaborative environment is crucial for success.
It's not about having a team of superstars. It's about understanding how those individuals
Yeah,
can best work together
I agree.
to achieve a common goal.
And this event, while it might seem like just a fun spaceship battle, it actually provides a really insightful microcosm of that principle.
I love that.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions come from embracing diversity and leveraging the unique contributions of each team member.
Well said.
So before we wrap things up, there's one more detail from our sources that I think is worth mentioning.
What's that?
They specifically highlight the privateer ship
Privateer.
and its potential in this event,
It's an interesting one.
because it doesn't really fit into the traditional categories of quad or mothership.
It's got its own unique strengths and weaknesses.
Right. And according to our sources, it seems to have an advantage in this event,
Really?
particularly against the boss.
Interesting.
Yeah, because of its specific weapon systems
Mm-hmm.
and capabilities, the privateer is able to consistently damage the boss even when the shield is active.
Wow. So while the motherships are busy with the drones and the quads are trying to find an opening, the privateer can just keep chipping away.
The boss's health.
That's a game changer.
It really
It's
is.
a bit of a wild card. In this event.
So even within this event, with its emphasis on teamwork and specific roles, there's still room for individual brilliance and unconventional strategies.
I love that.
I do too.
It speaks to the depth and complexity of the game's design.
It's not about limiting players to a specific path. It's about giving them the tools and the mechanics to discover their own solutions and express their own playstyles.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've explored the mechanics of each phase, the
Yes.
shifting roles of the ships, and even touched on some of the broader implications of this event's design.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has.
I think the key takeaway for our listeners is that this event
right.
is a prime example of how game design can encourage teamwork, adaptability, and a deep understanding
Yeah.
of the tools at your disposal.
It's not just about winning, it's about the journey, the challenges, the discoveries you make along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It really is. And you know, it makes you think. This event really forces you to make choices. You have to
Yeah.
adapt to different situations. You have to play to your strengths.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, which role appeals to you more? Would you rather be the damage dealer, pushing the limits with a quad, or would you rather be the essential support, holding the line with a mothership?
It's a tough choice.
It is.
It really depends on your playstyle. Some people love that thrill
Yeah.
of dealing tons of damage,
Yeah.
while others really enjoy being that crucial support role.
Yeah.
That keeps the team going.
And I think the great thing about this event is that it allows you to experience both
It does.
in a really meaningful way, whether you're on the front lines or supporting from the back. There's a place for you in this event.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this incredible event, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about the challenges, the strategies, and the importance of teamwork.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's all about having fun and pushing the limits of what's possible in this game.
Exactly.
So get out there, experiment, try different ships, try different tactics, and see what amazing strategies you can discover.
I love it.
And hey, maybe we'll feature your approach in a future deep dive.
That would be awesome.
So if you've got any sources that you think we should check out, send them our way.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
And until then, Keep exploring, keep strategizing, and keep those spaceships flying.
That's what it's all about?
And remember, in the vastness of space, the only limit is your imagination.
Well said.